I'm not sure. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Goffstown Zoning Board meeting of June 1st, 2021. Before we do much of anything else, would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Some formalities out of the way. As chair of the Goffstown Zoning Board of Adjustment, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we're providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The ZBA is utilizing Microsoft Teams for this electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number, 603-766-5646. Again, that's 603-766-5646. And using the participant code 785645, followed by the pound sign. Providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available phone number with the posted agenda. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has problems with telephone access, please call. Nancy, please tell me if I have this number right. 488-6783.
that's correct.
Okay, that's 603-488-6783. And adjourning the meeting if the public's unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we'll adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled to a later time. All votes taken tonight will be done by roll call vote. And with that said, we are going to do a roll call attendance now. So I will ask each of the members to state their names and whether or not they are alone in the room in which they are participating in this meeting. So we'll start with Len.
Leonard Stewart, Vice Chairman, me and the dog.
Thank you. And then we have Denise.
Denise Langway, member. I'm alone.
Thank you. Sandra.
Sam?
Sandra Parker, member, and I. Hello?
Hello.
We can hear you, Sam. Can you just speak up a little bit?
Sure. It's Sandra Parker. I'm a member, and I'm here with the dog.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jason.
Jason Cody, alternate member, and I'm alone.
Thank you. And Nancy.
Nancy Larson, Zoning Code Enforcement Officer.
Thank you. And we are missing one of our members. So Jason, until or unless Alan joins us, would you please be a voting alternate tonight?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next little step of business about the Goffstown Zoning Board. It's an elected board of 5 members and up to 5 appointed alternates. Currently, we have our 5 elected members and one alternate. So if anyone's interested in serving on the ZBA, please see Nancy Larson for more information. We may have another alternate on the way, but I'll let Nancy fill us in on that later. That will be nice to have 2, but we could always use more, so don't let that discourage anybody who's interested, please. The board has a posted agenda for each meeting, and we tend to follow the items in order. We'll open the public hearing on an application to hear about it from the applicants, the abutters, and the affected parties, and we'll ask questions about it. The public hearing will be closed, and the board will begin deliberation to discuss its merits. For each application, the board will decide to approve with conditions, deny, or continue to a later meeting. And you're welcome to watch the deliberations tonight, or you can contact Nancy Larson at Town Hall to get the results. For an applicant's request to be approved, there must be an affirmative vote of at least 3 members for any motion made. An applicant can request a continuance if there's not a full 5-member board to act on an application. And if you're aggrieved by a decision the board makes tonight, you have the right to appeal to Superior Court. However, before appealing to Superior Court, you must request a rehearing with this board to preserve your right to appeal. Rehearing requests must be filed within 30 days of the decision and state all reasons why the decision was unlawful or unreasonable, and failure to request a rehearing may forfeit your ability to appeal to Superior Court. Okay, so with that said, we will go on to our agenda, and the first thing on the agenda are the minutes to the ZBA meeting of May 4th. Do we have corrections or a motion, please?
I will move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll
Thank
second.
you. Thank you. And roll call vote, Len,
Yes,
Denise,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes,
and I say yes as well. Motion carries. Okay, and then we go on to our public hearings, the first of which is Paris Revocable Trust of 2019 in Gerard and Georgia Paris. Owners applicants seeking a variance to construct a 10 by 14 deck approximately 12.8 feet from the side property boundary off Eden Street, where 15 feet is the minimum required. This concerns section 4.3 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. Property is located at 26 Laurel Street, map 14, lot 53A, zoned residential 2. And I will entertain a motion regarding regional impact, please.
I'll motion that there's regional impact.
And a second?
second,
Thank you. And a roll call vote. Len
yes,
and Denise
Yes.
and Sandra
yes,
and Jason
Yes.
and Gail. I say yes. Motion carries. And do we have somebody here to represent the applicants?
I don't see them yet, Madam Chair. They did reply to my invite. So maybe they're just running behind a little bit.
Okay, well, we can go on to the next one, I suppose. I don't want to delay the meeting and just do.
Oh. Just one
Are they here?
moment. Someone just, I just admitted someone. 7352 are the last 4 digits of the phone number. Would this be someone for the Georgia Ann Paris and Gerard R. Paris application?
No, this is Greg Clausen for 14 St. Anthem Drive.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Okay, well, if they're not, if everybody's on that's trying to get on, then we'll hold it and we'll check in between each application. So we will move on to the next application, which is David Vermakowitz, applicant owner, seeking 2 variances and a special exception to construct an accessory dwelling unit that will exceed the maximum square footage of 800 gross square feet, where they propose 1,064 gross square feet. A second variance is required as the lot does not meet the minimum lot size requirement of 1 acre. This concerns section 5.2.1 and section 5.2.7 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The accessory dwelling unit is allowed by special exception per section 5.2 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance, and the property is located at 221 Elm Street, map 36, lot 36, zoned residential 1. And I will entertain a motion regarding regional impact on this one, please.
I motion there's no regional impact.
And do
Madam
we have a?
Chair? I'm sorry to interrupt. While you're in the middle of reading the application, the Paris is dialed in, so I just admitted them. So I'm not sure how you want to handle that.
Are they ready to go so that we don't have any further delay?
Mr.
they
and
set
Mrs. Paris,
Are they set to join us?
they're muted. Mr. and Mrs. Paris?
Okay, Nancy, they can get. Oh, I don't like hearing these echoes.
I don't either.
Is everybody else muted so that we don't hear the feedback and things from your computers and your whatever you've got?
I can mute everybody.
If you could mute
And-
them, if you could mute the Parises, that would be good because the noise didn't begin until they did. And I'm going to move on to the Vermakowitz and they can get themselves situated.
Yeah, they are already muted. I can't unmute them.
Okay, all right. I'm going to move on to the Vermakowitz until they seem to be more ready.
Okay.
So we have the motion to find no regional impact for the Vermakowitz application. And do we have a second? Glenn? Okay. And we're going to do a roll call vote. And Len
Yes.
and Denise
Yes.
and Sandra
Yeah,
and Jason.
Yes.
And I say yes as well. No, the finding is the application has no regional impact. And do we have David or a representative, David Vermakowitz or a representative here to speak for this application?
We have David and Ray,
David and Ray, father and son, I presume?
Yes,
son and
Okay.
father.
yep.
Okay, so who wants to start and tell us about your application?
Okay, I'm David. I can talk about it. So I had a barn on my property that I took down last fall. And I'd like to rebuild a garage there with an in-law suite above it. But I'm trying-
Okay. Tell us some more details, please.
We're moving it back a little further off the road, and I think it was growing a little bigger than the barn that was there. So it's got 1,000. If you take the dimensions of the new layout, it was like 1,064 square feet.
Okay,
And where it says we have to go for the variance for the acreage because the lot's like 0.99 of an acre. It's just under an acre. Like,
that's really just under an acre, isn't it?
yeah, it's like literally just under an acre.
Okay,
I think that was it.
is that it that you want to tell us for now?
I think so. Was there anything else?
Yeah, three
And
things.
you are
I'm
Ray?
Ray. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, as David had said, we were looking at 1,064 square feet for the footprint of the new building, which would be basically housing my wife and myself as a one-bedroom apartment attached to David's through mudroom. We are physically attached to them.
the barn, this garage and 8 accessory dwelling unit would be attached to their house?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, and you said 1,064 square feet.
Is
Does that
total-
include, is that total for the ADU or total including the garage?
It's gonna be 2 floors. So it'll be the total square footage of the garage, and then also because the unit above will be the same size.
The ADU, yes.
The ADU. Yeah.
Okay, now, all right, so I want to have it clear on the record. Is the dwelling unit itself that will be lived in, what is the square footage of that space, not counting the garage?
Not counting the garage, it'll be 1,064.
Okay, and the garage will also be 1,064
Yes.
or thereabouts. Okay. Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Denise, you're muted.
You guys love me being muted. I'm just kidding. Does the square feet include the staircase to go upstairs?
Yes,
Thank you.
and it also includes Three Seasons porch.
Okay. Len, Jason, do you have questions? Sandra, do you have questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Jason?
What is the porch? This 10 by roughly 25-foot section? Is that what the three-season porch is?
No, it's just a little bit more than half of that. The other half is a walk-in closet for the bedroom.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all set. So I think we took care of the questions I had.
Len, do
I'm
you have any questions?
Nothing.
gonna go to the town of Bedford and see if I can get a,
Mr. Kilmer?
for,
Mr. Kilmer?
hopefully I should be able to put a lot of that stuff in tomorrow. It's basically,
Mr. Kilmer?
Eli was in,
Bob Kilmer?
he said we couldn't delete anything.
Able
We
to
can't
mute
just
him,
upload
Can you
the
mute him,
live.
Nancy?
Nancy,
I'm sending it to that lady
I,
first, and then asking her, okay, what do you want uploaded?
there.
Mr. Kilmer?
Yeah, I just muted him.
Thank you. Nancy,
Yes.
Denise, your hand is up.
Yes, I'm gonna go back to the three-season porch. Is it a porch? Does it have exterior walls? Or is it just screened in or,
No, it is closed off. It sits above, as part of above the garage.
okay,
So,
okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, whether it be Ray or Dave, do you want to review, please, for me and for the record, your, the variance and special exception criteria that you submitted in your application package, please? To explain why you think your application meets those criteria? We could start with the variance, please.
So we're looking,
Starting, you can start with the part that says it wouldn't be contrary to the public interest.
oh, hold on,
it's on
sorry.
the wrong page.
I'm on the wrong page. So,
Go ahead, Jason.
I
You're muted.
was going to ask if we could. I was going to ask if we could mute Bob Kilmer again, but he
I
muted
did.
himself. So
No, I
Thanks.
just muted him.
Okay. Mr. Kilmer, if you can hear me, would you please keep your phone, your computer muted until it's your turn, because your conversations are interrupting. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Ray or David.
sorry, I'm trying to figure out exactly what you were looking for.
In the page where it's request for variance, and you wrote a bunch of answers about why it wouldn't be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the ordinance is observed, and all of those.
Request for variance. Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So description of why the variance is required. Property is of 0.98 acres where 1 acre is needed.
The space
What?
originally had a barn in it. We would be replacing the barn with livable space.
Mhm. Why is it not contrary to the public interest? Would you like me to make it a little easier on you and read what you've written on your documents?
We're reading it, but that's your,
We filed this a while ago and I haven't had a chance to go back and look at it. So setback maintained as well as, so we're gonna continue the character of the existing dwelling. We're gonna make the barn, the new garage to mimic the old barn that was there.
Okay,
so it'll look the same as the barn that used to be there attached to the house.
Gail, can I pose a point of order?
sure.
Which of the variances are we on for the exceeding the 800 square feet or for the ADU on a non-conforming lot? I see
It's the
basically
the first one in our the first one in our package in their application. And it's the one to exceed the maximum GFA of 800 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Who's that talking? That's not the Vermakowitz, is it? I don't see lips moving there.
No, it wasn't us.
I'm muting another participant.
Okay, I'm going to ask everybody except for board members and the current application, those representing the current application that we are hearing, to please mute your computers, your microphone, until such time as you have a need to speak regarding this particular application. Okay, all right. If you don't mind, I'm gonna put your answers on the record. Is that okay with you?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, it's not contrary to the public interest, and if you want to add to it, feel free to interject. It's not contrary to the public interest because the public is not impacted by replacing the barn with an in-law apartment about the same size. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because it provides for the basic in-law apartment of living, eating, and a bathroom and a bedroom. It would do substantial justice because it enables in-law living, closet storage, and seasonal outside living, keeping in character with the neighborhood. The values of the properties will not be diminished, or surrounding properties. It maintains the rural setting. One neighbor is a duplex. Regarding hardship, you said that owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial would result in hardship because no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property, because it maintains appearance of the barn structure that has been there for over 100 years. And the proposed use is a reasonable one because it provides a small residence for family and does not negatively impact the neighborhood. And then in subparagraph B, if subparagraph A and not the criterion A are not established, unnecessary hardship is deemed to exist if, owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, it can't be used reasonably in strict conformance with the ordinance. The variances are requested for lot size and can't read your writing. Is it safety of the unit and enables housing that is non-existent in town? Other issues and matters is that it already exists. There's already a paved driveway and parking with access to the road. Is there anything?
Sounds very good.
Well, thank you. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, what I would like to know is specifically about your land. The hardship is supposed to be related to the land that you are on. And what about the land that you are on that's different from your neighbors makes this a hardship? Is there a difference in your land versus your neighbor's land, your property? Are they similar in size, similar, well, in topography, that type of thing?
It's pretty much flat land. Other than the property behind us, the properties on either side are smaller. They're half acre or less. This building's been there since 1688. And all we're trying to do is to replace the barn that has outlived its usefulness and offer some housing for us.
But the barn has been taken down, is that right? It's
Yes.
already gone? So you're not really replacing it. You are building something new,
Yes.
Yes.
because it's been gone for a while. How
Well,
long has it been?
Since October.
Since October, okay,
Yeah, I just had
All
it
right.
taken.
okay,
It was
Just-
about to collapse.
okay. So my understanding is that all the area around you is all fairly flat like yours is?
Yes.
Okay. Len, you look like you have questions.
Nope, not at the moment.
Denise?
Yep, I'll ask a question. Why can't you make it work to fit within the ordinance of 800 feet?
We tried. 800 feet just doesn't, it's a one bedroom. 800 feet just wasn't enough space. I don't know how else to, to explain that. But we started out trying to be within the 800. I think it was 860 square feet, if I remember right. But it just, we couldn't put everything into it that we would like to put in a one bedroom, family, part of the family.
Okay, so I have a couple other follow-up questions. So looking at your plans, I see that there's going to be a chair lift added onto the stairs. Is that why the stairs have to be interior, causing you to increase your square footage?
Yeah, that, and we have to make to accommodate for the chairlift, we made the stairs wider and bigger than normal.
Could you just kind of calculate for me how many square feet that is? Please?
It was like
4 feet wide and
at
about
least-
8, it's about 8 by 4, 10 by 4.
Yeah, it's more than that.
It was longer than that. It was
Give us
about-
footprint that should be. About 10 by 4, maybe 40 square feet.
Okay.
Okay,
standing at the top, so 4 by 15 probably.
4 plus, yeah, that probably makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
so that's about 60 square feet for that portion?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Denise.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why, and that 60 feet is explainable to me.
Right,
So I'm
that
trying
only
to-
puts us at 1,000 square feet, so we're still 200
Right,
over.
I know, and exactly, but I'm just trying, and that's why I'd asked the question about the 3-season room, if that was just a covered porch, but it's not. So I'm trying to,
It's built,
See,
it was
theories.
built into the unit, and I think that adds into the square footage. Instead of building on a deck off the back of it, we were building it into the corner of the structure.
so will it have walls or screens or glass?
It'll have windows on it.
Okay,
So it'll be enclosed, but it's going to be kind of more of like a 3-season porch style, built into the corner of the garage.
Okay. Jason, you had your hand up, or are you done, Denise?
yes, for now.
Jason,
Thank you.
I saw your hand up.
Yep. So I'm looking at the plan. It looks like the stairs are 3'6" by 17.7.
Three,
Which is
3.5 feet by 17?
17, just over 17 and a half. That's on the garage plan that they have.
Okay,
That's still 68 square feet. And I actually had a question about the porch. So I'm looking at the picture that you submitted for it. Look like the exterior. So it looks like it's it's walls, but it's got a set of windows across the front. Is that correct? So
It's
it
gonna-
could,
It's gonna be windowed all around on the porch.
okay. So, but it's accessed by a door inside. Is the stairs go into it? Is that the outside stairs go into it?
Yes, the outside stairs would go into that, and then it has a door that will go into the kitchen, basically.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that it, Jason? Okay. Sam, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, I don't. I can clearly see what they would like to have. So at this time, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, is there anything else that you want to add to that before we move on to your next variance?
No, I think that covers it, right?
Okay, your next variance is for having the accessory dwelling unit on a non-conforming lot. And we've already reviewed that your lot is 9.9 acres. I mean, 0.99 of an acre.
0.98, yep.
Okay. And would you like me to read what you've written for your responses again?
Thank you.
Okay. Contrary to the not contrary to the public interest because setbacks are maintained as well as the character of the existing dwelling. The spirit of the ordinance is observed because it would allow for the use of adding an ADU as permitted. It would do substantial justice because it would have the appearance of the barn, allow a permitted use, and would not interfere with the butters. The values of surrounding properties will not be diminished because it doesn't deviate from the area use as one of larger pieces of property around, and it improves what was there, which was the barn. Regarding hardship, you said it maintains the use that is permitted and the land is short of 1 acre by 0.02 acres. And the proposed use is reasonable because it's a single family area with a duplex behind it, and it maintains the family dwelling. And that the addition replaces the barn.
Yes. That's good.
Do we have any questions of the board regarding this variance? Jason? Len?
Not at this time.
Okay. Sam, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay, then we'll go on to the special exceptions. Or one special exception, I take that back. To construct a 1,064 square feet gross square foot of accessory dwelling unit within a proposed garage to be attached to the home. And you said that it's the site is appropriate location being consistent with the town's master plan because it's allowable use that provides residential use maintaining historic appearance of the house and is compatible with the neighborhood. It won't alter the character of the neighborhood. It replaces the barn that was there. Won't create a hazard or nuisance to vehicles or pedestrians. It's located between the house and the garage. And I can't read your writing again. Something that the barn footprint provides for parking and uses the existing paved driveway. It has the needed setback, which is more than the existing dwelling. The location is of sufficient size for appropriate facilities. The footprint is about the same as the barn, is between the house and the garage, and it doesn't impede use of the property. And the location is of sufficient size to allow for appropriate buffers of this use to adjacent properties because it does not impinge upon any adjacent property. It will be set back further than any part of the house and further back than the barn. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think you got it.
You got it. I just read it.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
so that's it. Does the board have Jason?
Yeah, So just a quick question: the replacement barn or the new construction of the barn, is it bigger than what the original one was?
It's by like 2 feet going wide and I think like 4 feet deeper. So it's a little bigger than the barn that used to be there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Denise, you had your hand up?
You're muted.
I'm all set.
Okay. And Len, did I ask you already?
Yeah, I mean, this I think is the sticking point for me, where it's a little bit, the 800 square feet seems to me to be an kind of an arbitrary number, where we want to make it clear that it's a secondary use to the primary resident use. But on the other hand, given the fact that we're trying to make this an accessible dwelling, even on the second floor, the need for a little bit of extra room for the chairlift speaks to me to the other side of the question. So I'm of two minds on it at the moment. It is quite a bit bigger than our Nancy, what's the standard, 800 or 850 square feet for ADU?
800. It's 800.
800 is the maximum allowed of gross floor area.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So now I'm trying to remember why I originally came up with the size of the garage part of it. The house has no attic, no basement, and almost no interior storage inside because the house is 300 years old.
Mhm.
Part of the layout of the garage was to give more storage space for the house too. That's why the mudroom's in there and everything. So I'm trying to remember because we started this a while ago when we started doing plans and coming up with ideas how to give more room for storage for the house, is where we came up with the size of the garage we were hoping for, and then we added the in-law on top of it, and that kind of came up to the square footage of the in-law part.
Gotcha.
Because we have no basement, no attic, and the closets in every room are like 2 by 2.
Okay.
Sounds about right for that vintage house.
Yes.
So the old barn was the same size, correct?
It's a little smaller. We trying to fit the mudroom on the main with the garage. We had to make it a little wider so a car could fit in there and still have the mudroom layout and a storage and a workshop in there. Like I said, we have no basement, no attic, nothing. So we were trying to figure out how to work with square footages and lengths and widths to fit a little extra storage in the garage area. And then basically we just transferred that size upstairs. And that's kind of how we came up with the square footage for the in-law.
Any other questions, Denise?
I'm like Len, trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah,
You know,
I
We
hear you.
have the 800 feet for a reason.
Yep.
It's not up to us to decide why.
Right,
It's up to us to say, okay, what's the hardship?
right.
So I can buy the staircase. I'm trying, you know. I can almost say, okay, it's an old house, needs some storage. Still, you know, I'm just thinking, what makes this different than any other one? And we have the regulation for a reason. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I'm gonna be very honest.
Yeah.
Jason?
And that's kind of the same thing that I have too, right? Is that we're not talking like, 60, the 60 square feet for the extra stairs, the size of the stairs. Okay, yeah, okay, we could figure that. But this is like a third bigger.
But
There are some houses at Goffstown that are the same size.
Right. One of my things is he's explaining that there's storage and the mudroom downstairs. I mean, that really expands on the square footage of the space that the ADU is using, in my opinion.
I don't look at it that way, Gail. Honestly, I think it's storage for them. And the mudroom, I think, is usable by everybody because it goes into the family room.
And that's the connection to the house. Is
Oh,
through there.
okay.
Yeah,
The mudroom is the connection to the house?
Yes.
Okay, that explains it.
and the storage
but
for
it-
the garage doesn't access, they don't have a door to it from the unit.
Well, you go through the mudroom into the garage and then,
Right.
I mean, one of the things I could see is the age of the property itself posing a rather unique kind of hardship and trying to do all the things you want to do with the plan. You know, I do see some hardship there where you've got really no opportunity in a lot of areas of a property that old to do the kind of things you might do on a house built in the last 30 or 40 years.
But this one, they're building from scratch. They are attaching it to the old building, but they're building it from scratch. So I don't quite agree with you on that aspect.
And, you know, I think we're all thinking out loud right now, so I'll continue. My concern is that 9 by 11 3-season room, because that could potentially be a second bedroom. That's, so now you're looking at, is that the reason why we have an 800 feet minimum?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the reason. I don't have that background with me, but I'm assuming that is very likely.
So in the spirit of the whole talking out loud thing, again, I'm looking at the plan, and I see like a dining room table in there. I mean, granted, it's, you know, just a thing, but if that is the intended use of having, you know, a dining room table out there, it wouldn't take a whole lot to have all of those windows, you know, closed, and now you have another room.
Right.
Don't you have a table out your porch? And that's all that is a table out on the porch.
No, we're all talking out loud.
I know,
You know,
I'm just, yeah.
Okay. How about if we're just discussing right now, shall we open it to the public? And then we
Please.
can continue this afterwards?
Mhm.
Okay, is there anybody online, Nancy, that wants to make comment on this application?
There is no one that called in.
Okay.
And let me just go through the list of participants in. No, there's no one. We just have applicants.
Okay, so I
on
will
Teams,
close
and
the
no one's called in.
I will close the public hearing. Is there anything else?
Question before you close the public hearing
Oh,
to
sure,
the
go ahead.
applicants?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I want to know if they're willing to make the garage smaller, which would make the accessory dwelling unit a little smaller.
I mean, I could, but I mean, the original layout of the size I came up with was trying to get places to put stuff from inside the house to make storage space for the house. And that's where we came up with the original size. And then when we thought of doing the in-law suite above it for my parents, we just translated that vertical. And that's where we came up with the size. Like I said, I have no basement storage, no attic storage, and almost no closet storage. And that was the reason why there's a mudroom. It's because we have no mudroom. And I got a wife and 2 kids and stuff all over, spewing all over the house. So we were trying to make storage for the family and a place to put the jackets and stuff.
But
We just translated that square footage up.
Mhm. Okay, I understand that. Thank you.
Have you begun any construction yet?
What was that?
Have you begun any construction yet?
No, not yet.
No, just unconstructing the water.
Okay. Len, go ahead.
although, I mean, this is the thing, it's not to say that if you decided not to include the ADU, you could get as much square footage as you wanted, have the storage,
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
To be frank, I ran into this myself a couple of years ago, so I'm quite familiar with the problem. I wanted to do something and I had too much square footage to be able to do the project I wanted. So it really is a case, unless you can either reduce the square footage or eliminate the ADU. I just think it's a choice, because if it's not on the original if it were on the original, how much, actually, let me pose it this way. How much square footage would you have if you just built on the original footprint of the barn that was demolished?
Gonna calculate it.
I want to say it was like 28 by 30, 32 or 34. So it was probably about, yeah, it was 12 by 12. So
I get that it's like 890 or 896 square feet.
it was about, I want to say it was around 900, maybe a little north of 900 square feet. And it was 3 stories originally, because it was a underneath for animals, and there was a middle floor, and then there was a loft floor in it.
So something like staying within the original footprint would get you a lot closer to, because I think the sticking point for me, and I think for others that I'm hearing, who is you're talking about not just a little bit over the 800 square feet, you're talking about 25% larger than the ordinance specifies.
It's actually 33.
Math was never my greatest subject.
Yeah, and you know, again, right? Like you were saying, going through this not too long ago, right? There are ways of making it so that it does fit the square footage.
So I have two comments. One is, I stand corrected, it can have 2 bedrooms. Just so you know, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. I'm going to clear the record that having 2 bedrooms is not an issue. Is there any possible way that you can make some storage that's accessible from the exterior of that garage? Because that would take care of the square footage that we're concerned of.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Lose some space in the ADA unit and have storage there that's accessible from the exterior. Would be the only way to cut that down and leave your storage on the main floor that you require.
I guess we can redesign and see if we can shrink the second floor. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just kind of reading how we're going, and I'm wondering if maybe we can ask them to see what else they can come back without prejudice. Can we do that without voting? Without voting to approve or deny?
Mhm. If they're willing to.
Right.
I mean,
it's up to them. I agree. I'm just.
But I do think we're getting really close to the point of almost preparing their application for them, or designing their application for them. We have to be careful.
Mhm.
And we can only vote on what's before us. So we can vote on what's before us tonight, and they can come back to us with a different plan, knowing that, we'd be open to something different if the board were to vote against this particular plan. So I think I'm going to close the public hearing.
Okay.
And the board can continue discussion if we have any more to say, or we can entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Uh-huh.
what about the special exception?
Uh-huh. We actually have to determine what we're voting on, right? Because we talked about the special exception, didn't we?
I thought we just talked about the 2 variance requests.
No,
I mean,
I remember.
there were points of the special exception criteria in the zoning ordinance that were intertwined in the discussion, but as far as.
No, I remember reading the special exception criteria.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I did.
My mistake, sorry.
Because I remember especially the sufficient size. Yeah, I read it. I read it all into
Okay,
the record for them.
okay.
Okay, so which should we go with first? The variance, one of the variances, or the special exception?
I think that the special exception is kind of the threshold issue on it, whether we're going to allow it at all. And then it comes down to the point of, where the questions that we've been discussing regarding the square footage of the proposed unit.
I agree. Okay, so does anybody have anything else that they want to say about the special exception request to construct a 1,064 square foot ADU within a proposed garage to be attached to the home?
All right, I'm gonna make a motion for discussion, Gail. I propose that we do not grant the special exception for a 1,064 square foot accessory dwelling unit because it exceeds by a considerable number the 800 square feet that are called for in the ADU ordinance.
Okay, do we have a second?
Can I make an alternate motion?
I'm open to suggestion.
My motion would be to delay this, give them the opportunity to go back, rethink through this and come back. Is it too late to do that at this point?
I don't think so. I think we need to approve
So
or
you
deny
have to
what's
deny. Okay,
approve or deny what's before us. They still have the option to come back.
sure.
Don't they, Nancy? If the plan is different.
If the plan is different, it has to be substantially different. And may I just make a friendly point here about Len's Len's and Alan just
Yeah, I saw that.
okay, and he has his
Hi,
hand up, but so the motion was to deny the special exception request because it exceeds the square footage that's allowed. I just wanted to point out that the applicant is also asking for 2 variance requests, and it was my understanding that the zoning board would vote on the basics of the special exception and then vote on the 2 variance requests unless it's more comfortable for the board to reverse the order and vote on the variance request, maybe the size, and then go to the second variance and then to the special exception.
The size of the lot, is that what you're talking about?
Of the lot.
Yeah, because there's one for the size of a lot, and then there's one to exceed the square footage for the ADU.
I just want to be careful that the board
okay.
is.
I see it. I see what you
Okay.
mean. I was off track a little bit. So yes, we do want to go for the variance. One of the 2 variances first, because the special exception is just to be able to construct the ADU. And one of the variances is to actually grant the 1,064 square foot ADU. And then the other variance is on a lot less than an acre. So
And
my
Alan
apologies.
has his hand.
I will withdraw my motion then.
Okay, Alan, your hand is up. How long have you
Just
been
letting you know I'm here.
We know you're here. Do you mind if we finish this? Jason's been an alternate on this, and then when this one's over, then you'll join in as a voting member. But you're also welcome to speak up if you want to. Is that okay? Okay. So let's go ahead with the variance to exceed the maximums of 800 square feet. So that's the one that we're going on first. I think. So does anybody want to make a motion regarding the 800 square foot?
I'll make a motion.
Criteria?
I motion that we deny the request to build a 1,000, I don't want, what is the exact, 1,060 square foot?
Uh-huh.
ADA unit,
1,064.
where 800 square feet is the maximum that's required in our zoning laws.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have the motion, we have the second, and we will do a roll call vote. Len
Yes.
and Denise,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yeah.
Jason,
No.
Yeah. and I say yes. That motion carries 4-1. So the application, the request for a variance that exceeds 800 square feet is denied. And do we go on
Can I
to,
just make that clear that it's the 1,060 square feet?
well, the request,
1,064.
1,064 square feet. It allows them to come back.
okay, you want to specify 1,064 square feet.
I wanna specify.
Okay, that's denied. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion on the second variance to approve building an ADA unit on a lot that's 0.98 acres where 1 acre is required.
okay, do we have a
I'll second
Sec-
that.
Sandra? And we'll do a roll call vote. We'll do a roll call vote with Len,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yeah.
Jason,
Yes.
and I say yes. So that would be unanimous. And then the other one is the special exception to construct a 1,064 gross square foot accessory dwelling unit.
I have a question, Gail.
Uh-huh.
Can if we were to motion for this, can we make the motion with the condition that it be more conforming to the zoning
No.
rule?
I don't think so. We just deny what is. We don't get into planning their application for them. We shouldn't. And they can come back knowing that what they're presenting, if we deny it, they would know that what they're presenting is insufficient and or unsatisfactory, and they would have to, having heard our comments, they could come back with something different that's maybe more agreeable.
Okay.
So Denise, you made the motion?
No, no one's made a motion on special
no.
exception.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I will make the motion to deny the 1,064 square foot ADU.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And roll call vote, Len,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yeah.
Jason,
No.
and Gail says yes. So that's 4-1, and that motion carries. So we are done. You, Mr. Vermakowitz, both of you, your you have the variance to create an ADU on a lot less than an acre, but I hope you understand the application, the size is what, of the ADU is what was a concern to us. It was just grossly, significantly over what's allowed. So, okay.
I have one question.
What?
Now that they have the variance for 800 feet, do they have to come back? If they can scale that down?
They still need,
Still
no,
need
if
the
they
special
meet all the
exception.
requirements, yes, they do, because they still need a special exception. A special exception is required,
Okay.
so they would have to come back,
Okay.
okay? Okay, we will go on to our next applicant,
Thank you.
or our first applicant. Paris.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Jason, with Alan back, he will become the voting member, but you remember you can still participate in the
Acknowledged.
conversation. Okay, we are back to the Paris Revocable Trust of 2019, and Gerard and Georgia Paris, owners applicants, are seeking a variance to construct a 10 by 14 deck, approximately 12.8 feet from the side property boundary off Eden Street, where 15 feet is the minimum required. This concerns section 4.3 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 26 Laurel Street, map 14, lot 53A, zoned residential 2. And at the very beginning, before we moved on to the Vermakowitz application and didn't know that the Parises, and the Parises were not here yet, we did have a motion for regional impact and found that there was none, so we don't need to repeat that. And are Gerard and Georgia Paris here to speak with us?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Hello? Gerard Paris? Georgia Paris?
Mr. and Mrs. Paris, can you hear us?
Oh, they unmuted.
Mr. and Mrs. Paris, can you hear us? They seem to be having connection problems earlier. They kept bouncing in and out, so I wonder if that's still going on. They are muted again.
Okay.
Can they try calling in the number?
I'll see if I can send them an email.
I wonder if they can still hear us, even though. Mr. and Mrs. Paris, I'm saying this in hopes that you are listening and able to hear. This is Gail Lebrecht, Chairman of the ZBA. If you would try calling on the telephone, dialing 603-766-5646. That's 766-5646. And then use the participant code 785-645, followed by the pound sign. We may be able to hear your application tonight. But as it is, we're not hearing you at all.
I'm going to try giving them a call right now.
Okay, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Just going to step out in the hallway.
Okay.
Technology is grand.
Yeah. Yes. And Garrett is here, and Nancy can check with him. He was going to hang around until 8 o'clock or so, and I see he's still on, so he may be able to help. But I think maybe in the meantime, should I move on to the next? Because we don't know how long this could be.
Yeah.
We learned that last time.
That's right.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go on to the next application, and hopefully Mr. and Mrs. Paris will get their situation taken care of. The next application is Gregory Clausen, owner applicant, seeking a variance to subdivide one lot into two non-conforming lots. The parent lot, map 13, lot 32, has an existing two-family home on the property, will become more non-conforming in area, and will be reduced from 19,163 square feet, where 21,780 square feet is required for a duplex with public water and public sewer. The proposed single-family lot fronting on West Side Avenue will have 8,377 square feet, where 10,000 square feet is required. Both lots will have 90 feet of road frontage, where 100 feet is required. This concerns Section 4.3, Table of Dimensional Regulations of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 14 St. Anselm Drive and West Side Avenue, map 13, lot 32, zoned residential 2. And I will entertain a motion for regional impact, please.
There's no regional impact.
Thanks, Denise. And we have a second?
Second.
Okay, and a roll call vote. Len,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Denise,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
and I say yes. Motion carries. And do we have a representative speaking for the applicant?
Yes,
Mr.
My name
Kilmer,
is-
welcome.
thank you.
And would you tell us about the application, please?
Again, the application is at 14 St. Anselm's Drive in Goffstown. Again, the lot fronts both on St. Anselm's Drive and West Side Avenue. Again, it's a 90 feet frontage on each street. The owner, Gregory Clausen, is again seeking a variance to subdivide subdivide the parcel, keeping the existing two-family dwelling on one lot and creating a single-family dwelling on the West Side Avenue parcel. Again, this is a older part of town. The original lots were created on what they call a West Side Terrace plan in 1909. And again, I've also added a tax map, just kind of showing some of the lots in the general area, how, quite a few of the lots are, don't have today's required frontage area and et cetera. So would you have any questions, or you want me to go into the variance or the criteria?
You can jump right into the well, let me ask the board. Do you guys have any questions at this point? Alan,
This time.
Jason, Sandra?
Not at this time.
Okay. Well, let's go into the variance then.
Okay, so again, we're requesting the variance from section 4.3 dimensional regulations, again, for a two-family lot of 10,786 square feet where 21,780 is required. A single-family lot with 8,377 square feet where 10,000 square feet is required, and both lots being created with 90 feet of frontage where 100 is required. Okay. Again, criteria is basically this parcel is in an area of homes with small size lots, as can be seen in the tax map. And again, created by a plan back in 1909. Okay, so granting the variance, number one. Granting the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, allowing a two-family and single-family residence to exist on lots that do not contain the required area and frontage in an area of homes that generally do not contain required area and frontage due to the age of the neighborhood will not be contrary to the public interest. 2, how will granting of the variance ensure the spirit of the ordinance will be observed? The spirit of the ordinance will be observed by maintaining the required building setbacks between abutting parcels, which is inherent to public safety and overcrowding. This would not be in conflict with the way the neighborhood has been created over the years. Parcel and abutting parcels were created by a plan entitled West Side Terrace. The surrounding neighborhood contains several parcels that would not meet the current zoning for the area, setbacks, or frontage. How would substantial justice be done? Granting the variance will not do harm to the public safety nor negatively impact the town in general. Allowing the two-family residence to exist on a 10,786-foot lot where 21,780 is required, and a single-family residence on 8,377 square feet where 10,000 square feet is required would allow the applicant to utilize the property and is in keeping with the surrounding neighborhood uses of two-family and single-family homes on parcels that do not meet today's zoning requirements and are smaller than what is being requested. And number 4, how will the value of surrounding properties not be diminished? The requested variance from dimensional regulations will not diminish surrounding property values, as this proposal is similar to the existing nature of the neighborhood today. Number 5, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship because parcel is smaller than required by today's zoning, but will still be similar to properties and uses in the neighborhood. Preventing the proposed variance would deny the applicant the use of the property that is in concert with the existing uses in the surrounding neighborhood that had been around since its creation in 1909. Okay, so number 1, no fair substantial relationship exists between general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because by denying the applicant the use of the property would be denying the same use as is now existing in the neighborhood today. The unique makeup of this neighborhood and the smaller lots created has no impact to the public safety or overcrowding since it is maintaining the required setbacks to existing structures. The proposed use is reasonable. The proposed use is a reasonable use and that it does keep with the existing uses of the neighborhood that have been in existence for many years. Special conditions. The way in which the neighborhood was created in 1909 is now in direct conflict with the zoning requirements of today. This proposal is not any more in conflict than what the neighborhood as a whole is today.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we go ahead with questions?
I can't think of it at this point. Probably
Okay.
will as we're talking.
Okay, board members, do you got any questions for the applicant?
Hi, do.
Al?
This is Sam.
Go ahead, Sam.
And I am in this neighborhood, so when I go to the front part of the property, it is a small driveway with an even smaller attached garage. Behind the house is a larger garage, and with currently 4 vehicles parked behind there. When the property is subdivided, that's going to cut off access to that area. And there's no parking on the road. Do they have any thoughts of trying to put in a extension of their driveway on the opposite road and cutting that down even further?
They have with the garage, existing drive under garage on St. Anselm's and the existing asphalt. The owner says that they can fit 1 car in and 3 cars within that asphalt parking area that now exists within the frontage.
Okay. I would have to beg to differ on that one. That garage is very small. It could handle a small car, and I don't believe you can put 3 cars on that side parking. From what I can see, you can barely put 2.
Any response to that, Mr. Kilmer? Or do you want us to?
Again, it's just that he definitely realizes that, you know, the area is not for, you know, for massive vehicles like a lot of people drive today. But again, he's comfortable that for the required 4 parking spaces at the garage and the existing asphalt will, you know, be sufficient to create his parking. And again, it's an existing parking. They're not expanding out there, you know, in the front. They're going to use the existing pavement as it is.
Okay, thank you. Alan, you have your hand up?
Well, I can,
I had a similar question about the parking. That parking area is about 3 cars wide. It's about 30 feet wide. So that's room for 3 cars. Our ordinance requires 2 per unit. And that parking space for that 4th parking space cannot be in the right of way. So they have 3 legal ones and 1 in the garage. Whether they can use it or not is another story. Thank you.
I can
Anybody
tell
else
you
have
that one of these vehicles are an F-150 at least. I'm not sure if it's a 150 or a 250.
Again, I can't speak to it. I haven't seen the vehicles parked there, but again, the owner says that he can fit, you know, 3 vehicles there and a small car in the garage. And that's
Okay.
basically what, you know, how we're calling out the 4 parking spaces for the existing 2-family.
Okay, thank you. Jason, your hand is up? And you're muted, so you want to unmute if you're going to talk.
Is that small part of the building in the back, is that a garage? I thought it was a garage from the pictures, which is why I thought the
Correct.
cars were in the back. So that's actually a garage.
It would have to be converted, you know, again, once the new lot was created, they would have no access to use it.
Right. Okay.
Anybody else have questions? Alan?
What are they going to use that existing garage for? In the back?
I have no idea. Again, they won't be able to access it for cars, so the traditional garage, you know, they won't be driving vehicles into it. They'll storage or whatever.
So they has no intention of enlarging the house or the apartments that are in the duplex?
That I don't know. That question never came up. And again, unfortunately, the owner is on a business trip and is not available to speak to that. But again, any kind of change in the square footage and whatever else would still be dealt with. If not a zoning issue, would be a building, you know, permitting issue.
Alan?
No,
Your hand is up.
my hand's down now.
Okay. Jason?
There's an existing shed on that property too that would looks like it would be bisected by the proposed lot. What are they going to do with that shed?
Correct. That shed, if able to be moved, would be moved to, you know, whichever side of the line they wanted to have that used. But again, more than likely it would be taken down along with any pavement, you know, or concrete paving that is on the new lot would all have to be cut back to, everything would have to stay within the lot lines.
That shed would have to meet the current zoning.
Correct. If he was moving it, he would have to permit it.
Mr. Kilmer. I want to jump back a minute regarding the hardship that you expressed. And I want to know specifically the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from others in the area.
Well, it's again, it's a distinguish it from others in the area. You know, at this point, it's you know, it's in relation to the area. The specialty of this is that, you know, it has a little more area, you know, where a lot of these parcels are smaller, whereas you know, as far as frontage 90 feet, a lot of them are 80s, 50s and such, and you know, 100 feet of depth. I'm not quite sure where you're getting at.
Well, I'm trying to see where you're considering the hardship in the land itself, the property itself.
Well, again, the hardships of the property are that you know, the frontages and whatever else, no, it doesn't meet the zoning. As I understand, and
yes, but
that's
that's the reason you're here. But to be able to grant the variance, one of the criteria is that the hardship the hardship is supposed to owe to the special conditions of the property, and usually that has to do something with maybe the topography or the location of a septic tank or a well or something that gets in the way of it. At least my summary in a nutshell. So I was just wondering what you could tell me about a hardship on that property.
Well, as far as those hardships, they don't exist because it's you know, city services.
Okay.
I'm sorry for not quite understanding again.
That's okay. That's okay.
Gail,
Go ahead, Alan.
isn't, to recognize it, isn't the hardship the fact that it's the largest lot in the neighborhood? And when you balance it against the existing lots on both sides and on West Side Avenue, they're all either smaller or less square footage?
What makes
Isn't
that a
the
hardship? I guess I want to know what makes that a hardship. Because it's bigger? It's a
Yes.
hardship?
Yes,
How?
because it is not consistent with the rest of the lots in the neighborhood, period.
Denise?
So I've been kind of being quiet here, looking around. The last thing I want to do is create two non-conforming lots. But, you know, in these areas that are highly condensed, that is built up many years ago, this is what you have. And if you look around, there are quite a few, you know, dwelling units, two dwelling units that are on lots far smaller than this is going to be on if it was to be subdivided. It's the nature of the beast in these areas. We've done it in the Village area and we've done it in Bernardville because of the age of these subdivisions. And this is a large lot.
I agree it's a large lot. I'm just struggling to see a hardship on that large lot. Because I don't necessarily agree that the size is a hardship.
I don't think the hardship is the size. I think the hardship is the area that they're in.
But it's the hardship is supposed to be owing to the conditions of the land. And the land conditions are similar in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
As I see it. Alan, your hand's up. Did you want something to say?
Let me put my hand down.
Okay. Anybody else have comments?
Yeah,
I think in this situation here, by making two non-conforming lots, I see that the hardship is going to be placed on the front lot because, in full disclosure, I live 2 houses down from this. I see that there is going to be a parking issue. It really is not, it's not the size that would handle the vehicles that they currently have parked in their back driveway. I don't, at this point in time, I don't think adding problems onto it is a good thing.
Go ahead, Len.
And again, I kind of understand the point of view that you're taking, Gail, because I don't see where we have a hardship that would justify, we have a lot that's already non-conforming to current zoning, and we're being asked to create 2 more non-conforming parcels when, ideally we're trying to increase conformity rather than create more non-conformity.
Exactly.
Again, I think that the parking issue is a legitimate one. If I'm not sure whether you count one in a garage as part of the 4 spaces that you're supposed to have per dwelling unit for the duplex on the existing lot. So, yeah, I have trouble seeing the hardship as well.
Does the board have any other questions of the applicant before we consider opening to the public? Alan?
I would just like to think that, there's a couple there that, with smaller lots, 6,800 square feet with 2 units on it. I see some with 8,000 square feet with 2,000 units, 2 units on it. I see one in the corner with 10,000 square feet with 3 units on it. One next door is 50 foot wide with frontage, but it's the full depth, which is about half of this. It's got 2 units on it. I don't see it as a problem. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize. You're allowed. But for me, as I look at the criteria, I have issue with the hardship being there. Mr. Kilmer, do you have anything else you want to say before I open the hearing to the public?
Nope, not at this point.
Okay, then I'm going to open the hearing to the public. Nancy, do we have anybody online for this application?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing, and the board can enter deliberations. Do we have discussion or a motion?
I'm leaning toward Alan's feeling on this. It's.
I'll make a
done it.
motion to approve the
done.
variances requested.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have Alan and Denise making and seconding the motion to approve, and we will do a roll call vote. Len?
Well, to make a comment before I vote, while I understand the logic of what Alan and Denise are proposing, I don't think that we should be ignoring the specific criteria in the ordinance for it, and that's what I don't see. Yeah, it would, understanding that it basically makes it look like the rest of the neighborhood, we're still blowing by the criteria in the ordinance for it. So I'm going to vote no on it.
Okay, before we continue voting, Jason has his hand up. Comment, Jason?
Just a comment. One of the things that I happened to pick up in the OSI training that I did was that part of it too is how fair what they're trying to accomplish. So having a lot that size and not being able to subdivide it isn't necessarily fair, given the rest of the neighborhood is that way too. So that's just something that, that I wanted to mention. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments before we continue with the vote? Okay. Len said no. Alan?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Sandra?
No,
And I say no. Okay, so that motion fails. We need a new motion.
What was the tally on that?
It was 2-3.
Thank you.
So now we need a new motion to have something, try to get something that passes for the,
And the board is handling this as one motion for all variance requests. That's how I understood it. I just want to make sure I have it clear in my notes.
hold on. I'm only seeing one variance request.
Well, there's 3 parts, so because each of the 2 lots would be non-conforming. And then the lot that would be the new single-family building lot, it would essentially be changing its use from vacant to a building lot, so that there's a variance request also on that lot for 90 feet of frontage, where 100 feet is required. That's along West Side Avenue.
Okay, I see what you mean. How you mean, and it's just all the requests were included on one variance.
Right.
They weren't broken down. So the variance to create the 2-family lot with 10,786 square feet where 21,780 is required, to create a single-family lot with 8,377 square feet where 10,000 is required, and to create lots with 90 feet of frontage, 2 lots, because it's both lots with 90 feet of frontage
Well,
where.
You really only need to address the new building lot, because the use is changing on that new lot that would have its driveway on West Side Avenue. So you don't need to address the frontage for the existing duplex, just the 90 feet of frontage for the current
new
vacant, what would become a vacant lot, but buildable in the future.
Okay. So the motion, are we going to include all 3 at once, or are we going to do them separately? Board, what's your wishes?
well, they did put it in under 1 with sub components to it. So wouldn't it be just the 1?
How would you prefer, Nancy, for the record? For it to be.
I think in this case, the board can make one motion, but I would, specify it in detail.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion?
Can I make a comment before you accept another motion?
Sure.
Okay. I understand about the criteria of hardship. And all I guess I comment on is if somebody comes in and says, well, I have a large rock in the corner of my lot, is that a hardship? Because they say it is. I'm just throwing it out there. Because of the area where this lot is, that's all I'm saying. That's all.
Well, if that large rock, in your example, if that was there and hindering.
The answer, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that's all, just to for you to ponder.
Okay. Okay, any more comments, or do we have a motion? We need some sort of motion to close this out for the applicant, whether it's to approve or deny.
Well, just to give a clean record for the applicant, I will move that the variance request be denied.
Yes.
And specifically because it fails to demonstrate the hardship.
Okay. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Sandra seconds the motion. And Alan is back. And so we have, Alan, while you were gone, Len made the motion to deny the variances as requested because it fails the hardship criteria. Sandra seconded the motion, and we are into a roll call vote. So Len?
Yes.
Alan?
Abstain.
And Denise?
No.
Sandra?
Yes.
And I say yes. So the motion carries 3 to 1 to 1. Is that right? Did I do the math right? 3 in favor to deny, 1 in favor, 1 against denial, and 1 abstention. Okay, so the motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, let's try again with the Paris application.
The Parises are on the phone, so should be all ready to go.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
Jerry, are you there? Can you hear me? Let me make sure I didn't mute him by mistake.
It shows muted here.
Okay,
my-
how does it
can
look
hear
now?
you.
Okay, all right, terrific. Hi, Jerry.
Hi.
Okay, we are going to begin just a minute because I'm going to read the introduction to your application one last time. I'm glad we've got the connections established now. We are hearing the Paris Revocable Trust of 2019 and Gerard and Georgia Paris, owners applicants seeking a variance to construct a 10-foot by 14-foot deck approximately 12.8 feet from the side property boundary off Eden Street, where 15 feet is the minimum required. This concerns section 4.3 of the Goffstown zoning ordinance. The property is located at 26 Laurel Street, map 14, lot 53A, zoned residential 2. And we previously had a motion to find the application has no regional impact. So, Mr. or Mrs. Paris, would you like to tell us about your application, please?
Just the deck that was there was just 6 foot, and we just had the house redone, and we would just like to increase the size of the deck in the back so we can sit out there and enjoy it and have a barbecue. That's it. Something simple.
What size is the deck that was there? What size was the deck that was there?
Oh, it was 6 feet by I don't even know. It was my mother-in-law's place, so it was probably 6 by 8 with the stairs and everything.
Okay. Jason, you have your hand up? Can't hear you.
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah,
On-
yeah.
On that regional impact vote, I was part of that, but seeing that this is a new issue now, I don't know if you needed to redo that or not.
Well, maybe, yeah, we probably should, just to keep things square for the record. Thank you for
I
bringing
motion
that up.
there's no regional impact.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, and roll call vote, Len
yes.
and Alan,
Yes?
Denise,
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes,
And I say yes. All right, so we've confirmed it has no regional impact. And the applicant has said he wants to build this deck that is about 10 feet by 14 feet. Does the board have any questions? Oh, Nancy, you have your hand up?
I just wanted to point out on the assessing card, the property record card, it indicates the old deck was 7 by 7.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, does the board have any other questions? Your hand's still raised, Nancy.
I know, I just realized that.
Okay. Does anybody else have questions? Sandra, do you have questions?
yeah, I do. When it comes to this, when I was by there today, the proposal said there should be about 10 feet from the new deck that they want to build. Have they had that measured? Because in my view of it, it would bring it so close to that fence that they would literally be looking into the neighbor's yard. Right off the deck.
Mr. Paris,
Yes?
did you hear that question?
It's probably, when you come out to 10 feet from the house, it should be about 4 feet away from that fence. And where it's offset from my neighbor's house, it's not like we're sitting, abutting their deck. You know what I'm saying? And speaking with the neighbors, they just said, yeah, go out as far as you want. They had no problem with anything. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have questions? No questions? Jason, do you have questions?
No.
Ellen?
No?
Alan?
No?
Len?
Nope.
Okay, would Mr. or Mrs. Paris, would you guys review your variance criteria that you submitted with your application, please?
Oh.
That's those questions that you answered about the public interest and spirit of the ordinance.
Okay.
Right here, okay,
So what would you like?
just read them.
Well, you could
Go ahead,
read them,
Jordan.
you could just summarize them, or I could read them for you.
I'll let my wife do that.
Okay,
Okay, I'll start with, hi, how are you? I'm starting with number 1. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because we are replacing an existing deck to the rear of an existing residence. This maintains the usage and character of the residence. Number 2, the spirit of the ordinance is observed because we are replacing an existing deck that maintains the character of the neighborhood. Number 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because the house was built in 1976 and was in need of some repair. By building the deck, it would improve the overall appearance of the home and property. This project will not diminish the abutter's property value. Number 4, the value of the surrounding property will not be diminished because we are improving the overall appearance and the value of our home. And then we go to number 5 in A. owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because I, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of the provision to the property because the previous small deck was unusable and uncomfortable. The size limited usability. The proposed use is a reasonable one because it will increase the function of the deck. It won't negatively impact or limit access to existing setback and or easement use. It retains appropriate buffers to the adjacent property. Then we go to B, not available, and the same thing for the other questions that follow.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have questions? Okay, I'm gonna ask a question, and like I asked the previous applicant, what are the special conditions of your property that are different from others in your area?
It's we have plenty of frontage, but it's just not very deep, and so that's the hardship. You know, in order to make the deck the way it is, we're not able to go. You know, we have to
Bring it out a little bit more.
Yeah, go out a little bit more. But again, like I said, we're not impacting the neighbors at all. It's not like we're on top of them because the houses are offset, and it is again, like you guys know, it's an old neighborhood, and we're just stuck with what we got. You know.
Yeah, I understand that. But how does your property differ from others? You said your property is not very deep. Are the other properties deeper than yours? Or are they similar to yours?
I truly don't know. I know my neighbor has a nice big lot, but everybody else seems to have everybody else seems to have a deeper lot than we have.
Okay.
More on the side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anybody else on the board have questions? None?
I do. Does his property end at the chain link fence? On the
No.
left-hand side? No, it goes to the extended, it's 160 long.
It's 170 feet long.
170 feet long. You have a staircase that's on the side of the house. You could put that deck on the side of the house.
That's the garage side. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you have a doorway there. When I went by there was a door on the side there. So I was wondering if your property had ended at that chain link fence, and it doesn't. It actually exceeds longer, and you could do a type of wraparound from the back to the side and increase your footage on your on a deck. It doesn't have to be up on the back of the house.
My hopes are, of course, with the price of lumber right now, it's like buying lobster, price daily. You know, I want to be able to put the deck on. And maybe, hopefully, in the future, add a second stall to the existing garage. So putting the deck over there would not work for us.
We just want to keep it modest and usable.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, we're not trying to do anything extravagant or anything like that. We're not trying to, you know.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm thinking that the side of the garage really isn't not a place where I would want to put a deck.
Yes, that's correct.
And as I'm looking at the plan here, I can see that his lot is more shallow than it is wide. That's for sure. Yes, that's my only comments right now. Denise?
I have a GIS map, and he is correct. All the other lots seem to be quite a bit deeper.
Okay.
Just trying to back up his hardship.
Thank you. I accepted it. I wasn't doubting
I
it.
know that, but I had to prove it myself to accept the hardship.
Alan, you have your hand up?
I suspect from the location of the existing deck on the back of the house, I'll say back, but that's primarily because how it relates to the interior floor plan of the house.
Mhm.
And to expect to relocate it some other location is probably imperative, but I would like to see the owner not park in the right of way.
We do
That's
not
a whole
park in
nother
the right
matter.
of way.
I want to bring it forward so that the powers to be know that that's what he's doing.
I'm not sure what you're saying, because we have space in our driveway for 2 vehicles, and we do not park in the right of way. There's no right of way here.
Well,
Your plan shows it.
that's not a matter for this board. You brought it forward to the powers that be, so to speak. And we don't need to continue that part of the conversation any further, I don't think. Is there any other comments about the deck and the request, the variance request, before we open to the public? Seeing none, hearing none, then I'm going to open the application to the public, or the hearing to the public. Is there anybody, Nancy?
No, there is not.
All right, so I'm going to close it. And Mr. and Mrs. Paris, do you have any further comments that you want to make?
Can't think
No.
of any questions at this time.
No.
Okay. Okay, then the board is going to enter deliberations and discussion and come up with a motion, I hope. What's your druthers, board?
I'll make a motion. I'll
Uh-huh.
make a motion to grant the variance to construct a 10-foot by 14-foot deck, approximately 12.8 feet from the side property. But I'm just making sure that that is correct. Yes, okay.
12.8.
Side property of Eden Street, whereas 15 is the minimum required.
Okay, can we, where it says approximately, I don't want to get too nitty gritty here, but approximately could turn into 13 and a half feet or 14 feet or something.
Well, they have a plot plan that's been done, and it's showing for 10-foot deck to be 12.8 and 13 feet on the other corner.
Okay, I can live with those, but the description of the application and what you read says approximately.
Guys, so 12.8 feet from.
Okay.
From
I
the,
don't like
Not
feeling,
specifying no,
You're right.
no less than.
no,
No less than 12.8 feet.
okay, no less than.
Thank you, Len.
No more than.
If-
The answer is no more than, not less than.
No, from the property line? From the boundary line?
Correct. When you distance anything, it's from, to, but not to exceed. Not to exceed 12.8 feet.
Okay, not to exceed 12.8 feet.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, and we're gonna do a roll call vote, Len? Huh?
Yes,
And Alan?
Yes?
Denise?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes,
And I say yes. And the variance has been granted.
Great.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in and thank you for hanging in there with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too.
Okay.
Okay, we have no more applications. Is that right? No more applications. We just have some correspondence if you guys have looked at it. Is there anything else that we have, Nancy?
No, just as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, that I received an email from Judy Elaine, a former zoning board member who wants to return. So I let her know that we have plenty of alternate spots available. So she seemed to be pretty excited about that. So I just need to catch up with the town clerk and see what stage she's at with the paperwork. But I believe that Judy has submitted the volunteer request form and her resume. So I'll try to catch up with Kathy Ball this week.
Great, thank you.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Second,
I second.
And roll call vote. Len,
Yes.
Alan,
yes?
Denise,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
and I say yes. And we are adjourned.